Good afternoon. It's Jane, and on WOTWIP and Coffee, no coffee, I'm filming this Thursday afternoon. So this was the drink of the choice for Thursday afternoon, which was Skittles, pineapple, passion fruit, and pina colada. Very tasty combo. Drink your water. It's been hot here. Today I'm crocheting on this hat. It started another hat, so I was hoping to get it finished and off the hook while we chatted. How is everybody's week going? Mine's been okay. Did get the car scheduled for the inspection. The only problem is with the alignment. That's going to have to come later because nobody has openings right now. So, of course, it wasn't in the budget, so that's going to be an extra expense, which I'm not real sure how I'm going to work that in, but figure something out. You know, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So that's where that part is going. It's been a little rainy here, so kitties have been a little on the not as freaked out as they were the other day. Had a rainstorm that came through and thunder and lightning, and I looked up and both the cats, you know, they had that hunkered down look and fear in their eyes, tails kind of squirrely, took off running for the bedroom closet, which they don't normally go to the bedroom closet to hide. So I thought that was a little odd, but got them calmed down. It was just the thunder, because they were like rolls of thunder. Kind of like some big heavy train going across the tracks, and then all of a sudden there were the 3 or 4 loud booms, and it just rattled these poor kitties. But they got calmed down, and now everything's all good. They're lounging around, behaving like normal cats again. Well, I guess normal for here. Although, I'm really trying to get rid of that box, but every time I go to get the box, one of them plops their little kitty rear end in it and gives me the look like, but it's my special box, Mom. You can't get rid of it? So, of course, I don't get rid of it. So, yeah, there's that. Did get the hat completed the other day that I was working on. I had started another Bible study. It's an online one done by Ann Graham. I think you pronounce her last name Lotz, whatever. And it's the Jesus in Me. Now, this is hardback, so it's one of the first editions. And I had started it, and I do find it interesting the way that she does these. Of course, with this being the older version of the book, you don't get the workbook with it, which is a little odd. And of course, if you do the online, if you want the workbook, you have to pay extra for the workbook. You know, there's that. But hopefully they'll provide the questions as you go along for it. I think sometimes, even with the television evangelists and those people that put out their Bible studies like that, and they give you the idea that the entire Bible study is free, is misleading. Because like this, you only get the first 2 set of questions out of the workbook. For the book. However, I think if you go along and you follow the plan that she's laid out for the way that she approaches Bible studies, I think you could do it without paying for a workbook as well as the book itself. Now, this book I picked up, I got it, I want to say with shipping was $6 and something. But I had made the choice to look around and see what was available and see what I could find as far as that workbook. As far as the book itself, so I don't know, It's an interesting approach to Bible study, studying your Bible, and I do like some of the aspects of it. Never really looked at, I've gone to several different Bible studies, and, there are some people that try to give you hints and tips and tricks for Bible studies. But it's not real helpful when they just give you sort of an outline and you're still go, what? Like I had someone teaching us the soap method, and they said need to take one color and highlight all these words, like the prepositions or pronouns or whatever in it, and underline these words that are repeated in the passage in a different color and all this other kind of stuff. But it was like none of what they were teaching connected or made any sense with what I know as the SOAP method for studying. So, I guess you need to find a way that works for you. And I think a lot of what the method that Anne Graham taught makes sense to me because it's sort of what I do anyway. When I sit down to do my devotion time, my study of my Bible, just in general. So maybe it just clicks because it makes more sense. But yeah, it's a rather interesting prospect the way that it runs or rolls, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm doing that. I'm still working on some of those sewing bags, and as well as getting some Bible covers. I am doing some embroidery for some of the bags just because I wanted to give that a try. Just, change things up a little bit. And so yeah, we'll see how that goes. And the other thing is trying to think of different ways for the pricing because I'll be honest, with Etsy, every time you turn around, there's some kind of higher fee that you're just not expecting. And they just, like I said, they, quite honestly, like when I sell the grocery bag holders for $10 each, I'm lucky if I get $6 out of that. Which, I guess that's not too bad. They only take 40%, right? So, I don't know. And I think part of my problem is because what I see on my end is when you purchase an item, say you purchase it at $32, then Etsy takes out their fees for processing the order, which they don't process. They only do the credit card, and they take out, I want to say it's 4.5%, which your credit card company only charges 3%. So I'm not sure why they take out that extra percentage, other than they're trying to make a dime. I pay the full cost of shipping, comes out of that. And it doesn't come out of what you paid. It comes out of that $32 that I've marked that item as. So, which honestly, there's that much shouldn't be coming out, because you're paying a shipping fee on top of the price I paid. So there's no reason I should be paying not only for that shipping cost, but for the transaction of the shipping cost. So there are several fees there that I kind of question with Etsy. And I've gone across, I've looked at Shopify, looked at quite a few other places. They all do it. And I'm not sure why they are allowed to do that with the shipping. It just doesn't seem right. You know, and I thought about just setting up a web page and doing the whole thing and just using PayPal, but it's a lot of figuring out, and I'm afraid I'd have to charge higher prices. So there's that. I don't think there's an easy answer for those of us that do small scale business options, to be honest. And of course, Etsy now has some new rules about things that I can sort of understand. They're trying to turn it back into where it's homemade goods, or more creative designs that you have made. But I do question some of the thought process behind that. I'll give you an example. When I buy certain artwork to use on t-shirts or bags or other things that I may make, lots of times I'm combining that with my own type artwork, but it's because I don't have the time to make the other artwork. It's easier to purchase a file that gives me that I can have free commercial use to use it wherever I want. But now Etsy almost seems like it's cracking down to the point that if I purchased a file that gives me free commercial license to use it and to sell items I make with it, that Etsy is now considering that not my creative design. Even though I've changed it up or may have added to it, enhanced it, whatever, it's not my design according to Etsy anymore. So I have a feeling there's going to be another bunch of people exiting from Etsy because of that. Which I kind of wonder how that's going to affect their bottom line, because they're now a publicly traded company. So they have to give their investors their money back or earnings. So I'm kind of curious how that's going to work for them, as well as for all the folks that create items, especially those that do digital items. Not sure how that's going to work, but I guess we'll see how it affects it later on, won't we? Yeah, it could be fun. Could be an interesting couple of months getting to that point, and maybe Etsy will have to clarify what they mean. And I'll be honest, sometimes the rules that these companies come up with, you look at them, they're counterintuitive. They're not really clear enough for you to have a clear idea where they're going, what they're expecting. So, yeah, small business, difficult path to go through sometimes. And I'm not one of those. I don't like doing craft shows. I do 1 or 2 a year, and that's it. So, there's that. But it is what it is. We were talking today about in one of my Bible studies about organizing things and, doing those kind of things, getting things done. Sometimes you have people that are willing to step up and volunteer until for some reason they think it's going to be some kind of glorious job or something quite not what they expected. And then when you get there and they're volunteered, they're like, oh, well, wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. That kind of wasn't what I was looking forward to. And how sometimes how difficult it is to get people to do certain things, to get them off the fence and actually moving. And I had someone say, that's when you just say, we're going to do this. I said, does that always work? She goes, no, but sometimes it does. And then we were also talking about how the ladies at this church have a garage sale each year, and it is called Pay It Forward. And at this garage sale, everything that is there is basically free. But it is meant for women and children, primarily. And there are all kinds of things, toys, clothes, shoes. There are a lot of different people that will purchase because they know what it is doing, because it is helping the community. As well as when you contact some of the diaper companies, they will provide these things if they know that you're doing it and if they know it's a proven thing that you do, which this church is known for this, so they do have a lot of support from those type of companies where they will send boxes of diapers, different sizes, those kind of things. As far as clothing, a lot of it is children's clothing, baby clothing, maternity things, although they do sometimes take other women's clothing. But sometimes someone will donate things like shelves, bicycles, other things. And they were talking about this one year in their church. They had a gentleman who had passed away recently, and he was a woodworker. So he made a lot of these beautiful shelves, tables, end tables, things like that. And of course, he had some in his shop and all throughout his home. And then his wife, after her husband passed away, was shown to have signs of dementia. So the family, and here in Pennsylvania, it's a term called ready. They ready the home. Basically, they're decluttering the home, getting it ready for sale, getting rid of things, okay? So the family readied the home and brought a lot of that woodworking items up to the church for them to put in their pay it forward yard sale. So, but then we were talking about the fact that there sometimes are people that are not ethical about what they do. There are people that go to yard sales and basically come back on the last day and offer to take everything you have left for $20, whatever, and you gladly give it over, and then they turn around and resell it. And they may resell a couple of items, $2 or $3, and the rest of it they may donate to Goodwill or, something like that, thrift store. Well, at this one pay it forward yard sale, there were a lot of people. There was one gentleman that came in and got a couple of bookshelves and a couple of the tables, and then they saw him out at, we have a flea market here in town each year. Supposedly it's a farmer's market, but there are a lot of people that sell other things. There are a lot of crafters that have a booth out there and sell during that as well. So he had a booth out there, and he was selling each one of those tables or end tables for $20 a piece. And someone, person that we were talking with, she said she had mentioned it to someone else in the church, and they were just upset because that's just not right. She's like, "Did you say anything to him?" And basically she said, "No, that's between him and God when he gets up there. It's not, my place to have a big stink, but, sometimes we're aware of certain people who are there, and that is their whole goal, is to come in and snatch up the good stuff so that they can resell it." And I said to her, "So, how do you handle that now, since you've seen that in action?" They've done this for quite a few years. And she said, "Now we gently pull that person aside because we know exactly who it is that does it, and we ask him to come back at the end. He can take whatever there is at the end." So she said sometimes he honors it, sometimes he doesn't. But, sometimes you just have to understand there are people there that just don't have their heart in the right place. Let's put it that way. And that can be sad. So, okay, 2 more rows. So yeah, those are just some of the things we got to talking about today, interesting, the people aspect of things. And then 2 of the ladies that were there, as we were sitting eating lunch, they realized that they had a closer connection than what they thought they did. Come to find out, one of the ladies, her aunt, actually grew up across the street from the other woman. So that there was this great little reunion talking about the people they knew, some of the things that happened, in their lives as they were getting older. So that was fun, to get to hear that kind of thing. But, yeah, very interesting. I'm going to pause you for a moment because I'm fixing to run out of camera time. I had someone ask me what I meant by that about the camera time. The camera will only record for so many minutes, and then it just cuts off. And there are times that I've been talking with you or chatting, and I look up, and it stopped recording. And I have no clue where it stopped at, if I was in the middle of a story or telling you something that I thought was important. So I have to go back and look through the camera to see what it was about, that kind of thing. So I do have a little bit of a giggle when that happens. Just because people automatically think cameras will go as long as you are filming, and that is not true. Maybe true of your cell phone, but it is not true. And it's also true with the computer. Many times the computer will go as long as you are filming. But I haven't used the filming the feature with the computer for a long time, just because of the way that Apple has done things. And so now they want you to buy on an add-on feature that's like, I think it's $220 a year in order to do that kind of thing. And I'm like, I got a camera, I'll just use the camera. So there's that, right? Although I do have a feature where I could probably, but I'd have to find the cord, and Lord knows where the cord is. Ever since moving, got no clue where it's at. That I can hook to the camera to hook directly to the computer, which would allow me more time for filming. But there again, I have to find the cord. And I just haven't found it yet, and quite frankly, I'm not all that interested in hunting for it. That'd be a new skill I'd have to learn. Sometimes technology can be a booger. Although I've learned a lot on my own. Still haven't figured out how to put things on my smart TV. The different apps that you can watch different things with. But I'm slowly learning that, so eventually I'll get it figured out, and then I'll have to buy a new TV and refigure it out. It's generally the way it goes, isn't it? You'd think that they would make it easier for us old folks, but no. Gotta make it as difficult as possible. Want to keep us technologically up to date, and some of us just want it to be the way it was. Easy peasy. I think those days are gone. Might be wrong, but I think they are. So what are you guys working on this week? I've been focusing on hats, focusing on pulling out some of the different yarns to figure out what I want to do next. And you know what I'm actually doing right now? I'm making a list. What I would like to work on. That's the first time ever, so I can get things done in a timely manner. I feel like I don't do as much as I used to before. I mean, somehow there's a part of me that goes, you really need to stop that, because before you didn't have the outside work of a house to take care of. You also didn't have some of the other responsibilities that you now have taken on. So give yourself a break, Jane. Stop being so hard on yourself. I guess sort of sometimes I'm just missing the days that, I'm not going to have enough to do another row. This may just have to be a short hat. Anyway, some days I just don't think, I don't get enough done for the charities that I'd like to do. Maybe I just need to be a little less harsh with myself and be okay with it. So, I'm coming up. I really need one more round of double crochets, and I know I'm not going to have enough. But I'm wondering if I can do a row of single crochet. I don't want to add another color on. Let me see. Do I have more back here? That'll get a single row of single crochets. That way it won't be as short. So I do one more row of single crochet. Then this hat won't be finished. I might even have enough left over to use for. No, it won't be enough for a waste yarn on the adding machine. It would be nice if it would be, but it won't be. My basil is growing nicely. However, I left it outside last night while it was raining, so it got a little beaten up. I was like, okay, you need to watch that plant a little more carefully. So I've got to find a place for it. Do need to get a different pot for it. I don't think I'm ready just for that yet. Thought about keeping it inside for a while. Haven't decided yet how I want to do that. I do know eventually I would like to have it planted outside. To harvest, but at the same time I also want to be able to have it year-round. So I'm having to study up on basil, the growing of it and all that fun stuff. I was talking with someone about the whole thing with knotweed, Japanese bamboo, whatever you want to call it, about having how you have to get rid of it, and one of the ways is to let it dry out and then burn it. But where I'm at, we're not allowed to burn, so The only other option is to let it go and dry it out, bag it up, mark what it is. And I've already checked with the local waste company. That way they know not to put it in with the other botanicals and turn it into mulch so that it gets put into somebody else's yard. So that is, that sometimes is annoying, having to list it, mark it, so it stays on the bag. I'm like, I don't understand why they don't allow us to do a burn with the knotweed. Give us a special permit, to burn it in a burn barrel. So, I don't know. It's a lot of fun coming up with all these rules places have, isn't it, and dealing with it. Alright, folks, one more hat done. It'll go into the washing machine, delint, decat-furred, so hopefully some little one isn't allergic to it. But, yeah, I'm going to let you go. It's going to be a short one today. Hope everybody has a great week. Great weekend. Here is our River Fest. Starts this weekend. Although it's supposed to rain, so I don't know if I'm going to go down and partake. I do like to walk through the different vendors, craft vendors, see what's out there. So, yeah. So I may do that one afternoon if it's not raining too hard. Other than that, I'll see you guys again later this week. So everybody have a great weekend. Bye.